Hello once again, I'm Cosmic, and today we're going to be taking a look at sci-fi real-time strategy game Mechs and Mercs Black Talons. The game was developed by independent developer Camel 101, who also developed Gemini Wars. Mechs and Mercs is set in a futuristic galaxy at war. You are the commander of a Black Talons, which is a mercenary company contracted to defend a planet. However, upon your arrival in the solar system, you find out that essentially that the aggressors have already taken control, trapping you with the resistance forces. The only way for you to get out of the system is through a Stargate that is under enemy control. Thus, you must embark on a campaign to help the resistance defeat the occupation of the enemy forces. Before heading out into the various missions on the various planets in the solar system, you'll be on board your starship Paladin. The starship contains tabs denoting the various areas of the ship that you can do a variety of things on. First is the barracks that allows you to view your current infantry units and change their loadouts. From this screen you'll also be able to level up your squads that have accumulated enough XP to level up. The mech bay allows you to view and equip your mechs, and it shows you the various pilots that you have available to use. The command center is where you can view your messages from various people and organizations. Usually this comes in the form of mission related correspondence. These messages are essentially the game's attempt to make the player feel like they're kind of in a living, breathing universe, but in my opinion it doesn't really succeed in that goal. The command center is also where you have access to the mission map, and you can view the various missions and side missions that you have available to you and accept one of those contracts. The black market screen is where you can purchase new infantry squads and mechs. Each has a different price and starts at a different level, so you can purchase more experienced units, but it will cost you. The engineering room in the Paladin allows you to upgrade your facilities like the barracks to allow you to hold more squads. Finally is the hangar, where once you have accepted a mission from the command center, you will select the units that you want to start the battle with. The units will then be taken by dropship, which has a maximum carry weight capacity, and each of your units obviously has a weight. The more heavily armoured the unit is, naturally the heavier it will weigh. It means that you'll have to balance out your starting forces to get them into the dropship. While it is an RTS in terms of genre, Mechs and Mercs focuses on squad-based tactics, similar to games like Dawn of War 2. There is no base building in the game, and the battles centre around leading your squads of soldiers and mechs around a map completing various objectives. The controls of the game work similar to other RTSs, simply a case of clicking here and there, but there are a few problems with the controls that seem to be overlooked by the developers. First, it annoys me that you can't select your squads and then click on the map to have them move like in other games. It's very much standard practice for real-time strategy games, especially when you wish to cover a lot of ground in a short space of time. Its kind of exclusion forces you to pan the camera all around the map to move your units long distance, which is highly frustrating. Another major exclusion, especially for a squad-based game, is the retreat function. Black Talons doesn't have one, which is very odd considering that you have a finite number of squads. It means that you kind of enter a battle that you are going to lose, and if you turn tail, the slow movement speed of your troops will actually cause you to be wiped out in seconds. Now you have 4 types of squads available to deploy, being light armour, medium armour, heavy armour and engineers. Later on you will also have mechs available to play with too. Each class of unit has different variations as to what weapons they use and thus their effectiveness versus personnel or armour. Each squad can be equipped with different weapons in the barracks screen aboard your ship. The problem is that the game provides actually very little information on the unit's stats. For example, the weapons are denoted by an icon but no text. The game has also some RPG elements for the progression of squads. As you kill enemies, they will gain XP and level up. Upon leveling your squads, they will receive skill points that can be basically placed into 3 different but limited trees. These trees either provide passive bonuses such as health or an ability such as EMP grenades. Instead of base building, the game has landing pads throughout the map on most missions. Once you have captured one, you can use it to summon in a new squad by spending power points, which is the only resource in the game. You can only summon a squad once every 5 minutes or so, and you have a limited number of times that you can summon a squad, unlike the enemy AI, which I might add, which has an infinite number of times they can summon reinforcements. Which begs the question, why bother even having a power resource when you can only summon a very limited number of squads anyway? It kind of seems like having the enemy spawning unlimited squads is a very cheap and artificial way to create a difficulty curve, and I don't think it works or is executed very well. The same as the controls. The controls of the game aren't designed well, and they can be unresponsive. Sometimes commands are even ignored by troops, and both the controls and the UI are really badly designed and have some real issues both mechanically and aesthetically. The UI offers barely any feedback, and the icons on screen are so small you can barely even make out what they are. In fact, the UI throughout the game is dated and poorly designed. It feels like you're looking at an 80s arcade screen on occasion. One of my core issues with the game is that it seems like the developers set out to make an RTS, but forgot to put in the core fundamentals of the genre. One of the biggest issues is the game's balance. Take your light armor troops. They are utterly worthless in every respect. They can't do enough damage to take out a unit on their own, and they don't have enough defense to stand up for long in any type of firefight. They die so quickly that even using them as cannon fodder is utterly pointless. In fact, the game is so unbalanced that the only units worth a damn are heavies and mechs. Heavies are the only units that can fire and get hit without dying in a few seconds flat. What it seems they tried to do is have kind of a few classes and different types to allow you to employ different tactics in the battle, but due to the actual balance of the engine in the game, it's done the opposite. It's thrown tactics out of the game, and the only way to succeed is using heavies and mechs. Again, another major issue of the game is the fact that there's not much meat on the actual bones of the combat. There's only really 3 main mechanics in battle, one being cover, so being in cover gains you a defense bonus. 2 is that when you cross bridges, you have a defense penalty. And finally is the crossfire mechanic, that is just simply 2 units attacking the same unit, so they will, the defending unit will get suppressed and suffer a defense penalty. It's not exactly much to work with when you're trying to create a tactics-based game. And due to its slow-paced nature, it becomes even more of a problem because you don't have the complexity of games like Company of Heroes, whose units, for example, could do things like go prone or crouch or, take cover in a variety of places. There just isn't that complexity or depth there. The enemy AI is also non-existent and frequently stupid. All the enemy seems programmed to do is either sit in wait or actively go towards you on the battlefield no matter where you are. There is no patrolling or acting like real soldiers, just defend or follow. There is one instance that if you get your distance just right, you can attack an enemy and they will just stand there doing nothing, like it's not even happening. They don't fire back because you're not in range, and the fact that they're taking damage completely eludes them, so why bother moving or anything like that? There's even several experience exploits in the game which basically cause problems because you can exploit the AI and the mission design itself so that when an enemy comes at you and you stop the objective being reached for the game, the mission to complete, you can just keep spamming enemies and they just keep taking them down. Just sit kind of outside their landing pad and just mow them down every time they spawn, and your troops will just level up until they're at max level. Map design, again, is very important in RTS games, and sadly, once again, Mechs and Mercs fall short in this department. Maps are not thought out, they just seem to be thrown together. I was very surprised actually by the level design as well, because level design by nature can create difficulty and fun experiences when done correctly, especially in an RTS focusing on squads. It was like it's like trying to combine Dawn of War 2 with the maps of Command and Conquer. It doesn't work. You need specific maps designed for the game, designed for squad-based tactics. Level design ultimately needs to reflect and complement the game and not be just a poorly textured canvas for your units to step on. I mean, take for an example Dawn of War 2. That's a squad tactics based game. Now there's a level in that where basically you have to move from cover to cover while avoiding enemy fire while a tank chases you. That is good map design, that is good level design. It's fluid, it causes you to use the mechanics. It's not just a blank canvas. The map design is so poor in the game. It's bland, it's boring, none of it's memorable, and it's just very sad to see. I mean, I literally could go on and on about the game's flaws and problems. Needless to say, it is a very subpar RTS. I can imagine the developers overreached. did not understand the complexities of the genre, or wrote something that sounded really good on paper, but in practice failed. There really isn't kind of any redeeming feature for this game. It doesn't do anything particularly well. It has badly designed gameplay, a bad story, and it's just not worth your time in my opinion. Even big fans of RTSs should steer clear, as I cannot see how you would find an enjoyable experience from this. I was really hoping for a decently solid indie RTS, and I can forgive the poor textures, the poor UI design, and lackluster story, but the mechanical failings alone and the very poor game design overall, I just can't forgive, and thus I cannot recommend this game. Thanks for watching everyone. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy my work overall, please head over to my Patreon and support me there, and follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.